Hi, Neve.
Hello, Flossie.
How you doing?
All right, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for hosting this again.
Okay, so hi to everyone watching. Thanks for tuning in. Today we have Neve Froman with us again. He was with us last week to talk about manta reproductive ecology. So if you missed his talk last week, you can find that on the webinars page of the website, and I highly recommend you do. It was a great talk. Today he's going to be talking about Manta Expeditions, which are manta research and diving trips, but I'll let you tell you a bit more about that. As for the technical information, if you haven't watched one of these before, the webinar is going to last between 45 minutes to an hour. Neve will give a talk on Manta Expeditions, and then we'll take questions. So as audience members, you're automatically muted and your video is switched off, but we would love to hear from you. So please do send any questions or comments in through the Q&A box on the toolbar at any point, and we'll try and get through as many questions as possible at the end of the talk. Okay, Neve, over to you.
Cool. Thank you, Flossie, and hi, everyone. Thanks also from my side for tuning in. Great to see many of you. Well, I don't really see you, but great to know that some of you are there listening to me. So just let me quickly share the screen and get me started. Right. As always, Flossie, if there's any issue, please let me know. I'm new with technology.
Looks good.
Good, thanks. So I guess this talk is going to be a little bit different than all the previous ones, which have been sort of more science focused, while this talk is going to lead you through what Manta Expeditions is, which is, I mean, we're not going to talk much about science, but more about diving destinations where you can go and see mantas and what can you do to help protecting them while also enjoying encounters with them, which is what sort of Manta Expedition is really all about. It's about raising awareness, providing education to people that are interested in diving, not just diving, but marine life through eco trips, which are specifically focused on encounters with mantas, but not only, also with other wish list marine species, whale sharks, and so on. And all of that coupled with an educational and scientific aspect. So for those of you that didn't have time or didn't really want to go through a scientific education and to a scientific career, but are still really interested into more than just the simple diving with these animals, but learning about them and also helping protecting them more actively, well, this is what Manta Expeditions offers you the opportunity to see these animals, but also contribute and learn about them. And there's a few things that make Manta Expeditions different and special than a traditional diving trip. And of course, as I kind of already said, is that through a Manta Expedition, by joining one of these trips, you are also actively contributing to research. In fact, during all our trips, we invite and try to get the divers to engage with research through simple methodologies such as photo IDs. So you've already heard in previous talks about how mantas can be identified through the spot pattern on the belly. So on these trips, we'll tell you more about how to do it yourself, and then you can actively get in the water and collect data yourself. And you can also analyze that with our guidance on board. You'll also gain a lot of knowledge. So one of the keys is having always at least one of the Manta Trust experts on board these trips, which will give daily workshops, presentations. So you will learn a lot of new information about what you're seeing on the water, not just about mantas, but more widely marine life. So you're gaining an added value. And I also believe that by learning and understanding what you're seeing on the water, you appreciate your diving and you appreciate what you see in a different way. And you start also to see things that you may have overlooked before, certain behaviors or species that you would have completely disregarded otherwise. And ultimately, you're also actively financially supporting conservation. In fact, part of the revenue that is generated through Manta Expedition is donated to Manta Trust and ultimately goes to support research and conservation effort of the charity. One of the key, as I said, is that every expedition is led by Manta Trust experts, and we are quite a big family, and obviously Manta Trust researchers are considered world leader experts in manta research and conservation, as you've had the chance to appreciate during these webinars. So you'll have the chance to spend your dive vacation or your time on board in close proximity to one of the Manta Trust experts and spend meals with him or her, dive with them and learn a lot from their knowledge. So it's also a great opportunity for you to also interact with a scientist, which it's not always possible. What is special about Manta Trust experts is that obviously, as experts, they have a big deal of knowledge about the region and the population of mantas that inhabit that region. And in fact, Manta expeditions are generally led by Manta Trust experts, which is normally the project leader or someone working in the region where the expedition takes place. So the expert knows very well where mantas are found, knows very well the region, the dive sites, when and how to interact with these mantas, and so on. They obviously have a lot of experience diving and snorkeling and swimming with these animals, so they will be able to guide you on how to best interact with them. They have lots of contacts within the region, the country, which obviously greatly helps to maximize our chances of providing great encounters. And of course, they have the knowledge, the scientific knowledge, which you will be able to absorb from them through these trips. The itineraries that we offer are also very special, and they are specific to the region, specific to the time of the year. And we designed the itineraries in order, again, to maximize the chances of amazing encounters with these animals. Of course, it's nature, so nothing is guaranteed, but our itineraries are obviously also based on research findings on science, the science behind what we are offering, and it's the science of the Manta Trust. So based on years and years of data collection, we can predict that the highest chances of stunning encounters with these animals is going to be at a certain time, in a certain area, and that's how we design our itineraries. But more than that, what we really always try to do is keep our itineraries very flexible. Although we can somehow predict where and when these animals are going to be, there is always a certain amount of uncertainty, which makes also this expedition really exciting. But on the other hand, we can we keep our itinerary flexible in order to adapt our schedule and our diving schedule and our itinerary to where the mantas are going to be at the time of the expedition, which is something that not sort of a traditional diving trip would offer. So a scheduled itinerary, scheduled day, and scheduled dive sites, which needs to be visited, and that's not what we want to offer. We want to go where the mantas are, so we sort of chase them in a nice way. How does a typical day on a Manta expedition look like? Oops, sorry about that. So in general, it obviously depends. It varies depending on the region we're diving, depending on the itinerary that we're doing. It can change day by day if we have long navigations or less, so on. But on average, you'll be doing 2 to 4 dives or snorkeling outings per day. And on a daily basis, there will be a presentation workshop led by the Manta Trust expert on board, which lasts generally between 45 minutes to 1 hour and a half. And it will be, normally it's in the evening as a lullaby, but it can be adapted and readapted depending, of course, on the plan of the day. There's also some leisure time on our trips, so you'll have time also to relax. But if you're more of a hardcore, you want to contribute more, you can dedicate some time to helping analyze the data that is collected during the trip. So again, at the beginning of the trip, you will learn how to help collect data, and depending on the region you're diving, and depending on who's the expert on board, there might be different activities that you can take part in. Mainly, it's going to be photo identification. So you'll be collecting data during the day, and then whenever there's time, you can sit with the expert on board to go through the data, and he or she will teach you how to identify the animal, how to look for interesting features such as pregnancy or presence of injuries and so on. But there might be also other activities that can be done on trips, exploratory dives. So we also always take also the opportunity on expeditions to explore new areas where we believe or we know there are mantas, but there are locations which are not very often visited by our researchers. So these expeditions give us a great opportunity to visit those sites and gather novel and important data. So you'll be taking part into exploring new sites, doing both underwater as well as surface surveys, looking for new manta sites, for example, which is always very exciting. Or there might be activities such as genetic sampling or tagging, to which you can help, not really physically do yourself, but you can sort of help the researcher locating the animals or noting certain important information while the researcher, for example, tags or collects vibes. If you haven't been on a liveaboard before, well, most of our expeditions are liveaboard based, so they are, you spend a long time on the boat, on sea, and I want to just give you quickly an idea of what being on a liveaboard is about. So you're spending life at sea, you'll be boarding one location, and a week, 10 days, 2 weeks later, you will disembark, and within those 2 weeks, you will be at sea, which is fantastic in one way. You're really in the middle of the ocean with starry skies that you get without any artificial illumination around, the quietness of the sea, the ocean, but it also can be tricky. Space is quite limited. You are on a boat, so you cannot escape, go to a cinema, go to a pub, but you're also sharing that space with people that are as passionate about the ocean and the marine life as you. So it's a great opportunity to meet fantastic people, to develop new friendships as well, for example. It is also being on a boat means that the activities are quite scheduled. You're not on a resort where you can do what you want when you want. You could if you want, but the dives are, because there's quite a lot of diving, the dives are at a certain time of the day, and so are the meals. So you sort of have to adapt to that schedule. But again, it's all very, becomes just very natural because you're in sort of a small community and you're sharing that space and the experiences with each other, and you even want to do it even more. Again, being on the boat is fantastic because it allows us to be flexible in terms of itinerary. If you're based on an island, on a resort, on a hotel, you're obviously limited to diving the surroundings of that area. While on a liveaboard, we can move and visit the best sites, or just change our plan because we've been informed that the mantas have been located somewhere else. So it gives us also that flexibility. Moving then to the destinations that Manta Expeditions offer. So obviously they are destinations where mantas occur. Go diving where there's no chances of seeing mantas. And we have a few destinations, and I'll start with the one that is the most developed one, or the one where we offer most of our expeditions at, and it's the Republic of the Maldives. It's also where the Manta Trust has its longer lasting projects, which you've heard a lot already about. And the Maldives are a fantastic destination to see manta rays. Number one reason is because they have the largest population of reef mantas in the world, with almost, or an estimated 5,000 mantas inhabiting the Maldivian archipelago. It really, we haven't run a single expedition in the Maldives without having encountered at least a handful of mantas. And we've gone all the way up to seeing almost, well, actually more than 200 mantas within a couple of weeks on an expedition. So it's a great destination to sort of almost have the guaranteed of mantas, but also has much more than that. Has an amazing variety of marine life, and again, the most spectacular manta aggregation occur in this region. Within the Maldives, though, although it's a relatively small country, it does offer quite a varied diving and also different type of manta encounters. And we also offer different itineraries, starting from sort of, say, not really the classic, but an itinerary that focus in the central north of the country. As you can see here, this is the Maldivian archipelago. Here is Male, which is where you will land. And many of our expeditions actually focus in the atolls of North Male, Ba, Ra, and Laviani. Ba Atoll is where Hanifaru Bay is located, where things like these, those amazing cyclonic aggregations of mantas, feeding aggregations, take place. Obviously, it's no guarantee again, but it's certainly the place with the highest chances of wow manta encounters of those amazing mass feeding aggregations. And we include those in sort of these northern itineraries. But the north of the Maldives also offers much more than that. Night feeding mantas, for example, which you can find in Ari Atoll, and it's absolutely amazing. Being able to dive and see mantas coming out of the black water and swimming just a few centimeters above your head. It's an absolutely stunning experience. Time just flies when you're underwater at night with these animals. But although our trips are manta focused, we obviously dive sites that offer much more than mantas. The north is, my experience, in my opinion, offers more sort of small, the clouds of fishes type of dive and colorful dive sites. Those sort of pinnacles of corals, which are bombarded with clouds of fishes, and this is very typical in the north. To me, I find this absolutely amazing. It's kind of aquarium type of dive sites. We have lots and lots and lots of biomass and lots of fishes around. We also have itineraries that go even to the very, very far north of the Maldives, the very tip up in Hali Atoll, right there. And those are more exploratory expeditions. There are very few boats in the Maldives that offer that itinerary, and a lot of dive sites, and also a lot about mantas in the north is still quite unknown. We don't have many chances of diving that far up, so we take opportunities on expeditions to explore that region and study the manta population that inhabits the north of the Maldives. And again, we have this aquarium, a cloud of fishes type of dives with stunningly colorful dive sites. The best soft coral dives I've done in my life are in the northern part of the Maldives, for example. And then the far south of the Maldives is the opposite. It offers actually quite different dives, but we still offer expeditions there, although there's less mantas, especially very few reef mantas inhabit the south. What is really interesting is the huge amount of oceanic mantas that are found in the south of the Maldives, especially in the island of Formula. And again, if you follow previous webinars, you've heard a lot about it. So the south is more the giants, focused around encounters with giants, such as oceanic mantas, of course, but also tiger sharks, whale sharks, which can be seen at night even. Again, an absolutely amazing experience to be in the water at night with 2 or 3 whale sharks. And so that's an opportunity for us to collect data on an oceanic manta population, which it's a research that is just starting and led currently by Simon, but also collecting data on whale sharks, which we obviously share with an organization that works specifically on studying whale sharks in the Maldives. So just a few seconds of what an expedition in the south of the Maldives looked like. And again, it's mainly giants, it's mainly big creatures, such as whale sharks, tiger sharks, and also the south of the Maldives is very well known for its channel diving. So there's a lot of channel dives, which are obviously quite current-focused dives. You'll have relatively strong current in there, but also opportunities to see lots of sharks, for example. There's aggregations of gray reef sharks, occasionally in dozens, over 100 sometimes, which is absolutely fantastic. And that's interesting, and that's sort of also the stunning visibility that you get in the south of the Maldives explains also the lack of reef mantas, for example. The great visibility means less nutrients, less food, and thus less mantas, while north of the Maldives seems to definitely have higher productivity, and that's why most of the reef mantas in the Maldives are located in the northern atolls. What happens, what's the deal with the oceanic mantas is still a mystery, and I'm sure Simon, by the end of his PhD, will be able to give an answer to what are the mantas doing down there, which is to me a fascinating question. But again, yes, that south of the Maldives offers a wide variety of marine life, and this is what actually is really special about the Maldives, is that within one expedition, one trip, you'll be able to sort of tick many boxes that you may still have. It's such a diverse marine life. You'll be able to see sharks, turtles, sometimes whale shark and mantas all within a week, which is something that it's quite rare. A northern trip, of course, is more, as I said, more focused on large manta aggregations. So you'll be visiting lots of manta cleaning stations, feeding sites, beside Hanifaro Bay, which is the very famous site where cyclone mantas occur, such as. And this is sort of the clouds of fishes type of dive that I told you about. So schooling fusiliers, schooling snappers, and banner fishes. This really, the north is quite well known for that. And of course, the amazing manta cleaning stations and the incredible encounters of manta rays in Hanifaro Bay, which is something that everyone, in my opinion, if you're an ocean lover, you have to experience at least once in your life. So moving to the next one, we also dive in Mexico. And in particular, at the moment, we're offering expeditions to the Revillagigedo archipelago, which is an archipelago of 4 islands located on the Pacific side of Mexico, about 24 hours navigation from the coast of Mexico, from Cabo San Lucas, which you can see right there. And this is probably, or almost certainly, the best place in the world to dive with giant oceanic mantas. It is an amazing site where oceanic mantas occur in quite large number. We're not talking Hanifaro Bay, but half a dozen to a dozen of mantas can be seen in one dive site together, which is quite incredible. And when you compare it to other places where you can dive with oceanic mantas. But it's another, because of its remoteness, it's located in the middle of the ocean, basically. It attracts a lot of pelagic life. Beside the oceanic mantas, you'll have chances to dive with hammerheads, sometimes schooling hammerheads, big yellowfin tunas. And what is also really amazing are the encounters with bottlenose dolphins. Actually, video speaks better than words. Yeah, bottlenose dolphins, completely wild in this region. They come up to divers and they actively seek interaction with snorkelers and divers. The same do mantas. On the last trip to Socorro I've spent a full hour underwater with about 10 oceanic mantas and a pod of about 10 bottlenose dolphins who were fighting with each other to gain our attention. So the manta was in front of us, swimming above our head, and the bottlenose dolphin was swimming right in front of the manta, kind of calling us, look at me, and then suddenly the oceanic mantas again. And for a full hour was like that, all the way to the surface where those animals followed us. Because of its remoteness also, there's still a lot of data needed to learn more about the population of oceanic mantas of this region. Most of the sightings of oceanic mantas are new individuals added to our database. There's very few re-sightings. So every expedition gives us the opportunity to expand our knowledge about the population of oceanic mantas that inhabit the Revillagigedo, which are also massive. Those animals can reach up to almost 7 meters in wingspan. So they're really the giants of our ocean. The winged giants, at least. Not only mantas, bottlenose dolphins, but also tiger sharks can be sighted at this location. As I said, hammerheads, lots of Galapagos sharks, Whale sharks can be seen as well, and with a bit of luck, even humpback whales, which do occur in the waters surrounding the archipelago. The other destination we dive a lot in is Indonesia. And of course, Indonesia is also one of the greatest places to dive with mantas. It does offer something unique, which is the opportunity to dive with both reef and oceanic mantas at the same time at certain specific locations. And in Indonesia, we do have expeditions in Komodo as well as Raja Ampat. Indonesia is found within the Coral Triangle, so incredible biodiversity, the highest marine biodiversity in the whole planet. And you can really see that underwater beside the mantas. The reefs are incredibly rich and diverse. And the manta population is really healthy in Indonesia. They were fished until a few years ago in some areas within Indonesian water, but are now protected since 2013. Indonesia became the largest sanctuary for manta rays. So they're fully protected and they thrive, and they currently thrive here. Komodo and Raja Ampat are slightly different in terms of the type of mantas you will see. Komodo hosts mainly, or actually uniquely, reef mantas. What is also great here is that you'll be able to see lots of black morphs or melanistic mantas, so fully black mantas, which are stunning. They're beautiful. So there's ninja mantas, lots of them, both in Komodo as well as Raja Ampat. But again, Komodo is mainly reef mantas, with obviously on the side lots and lots of critter life. While Raja Ampat has the great advantage of offering both the presence of reef and oceanic mantas with a couple of sites where both species can be encountered at the same time. Again, it's no guarantee, but it's a place where this can happen with a bit of luck. And this along, of course, to the amazing diversity that Indonesia has to offer. And finally, we also started running expeditions in Thailand and Myanmar, where oceanic mantas occur, not in as large numbers and in the places I've spoken about until now, but those areas are still quite unexplored and understudied, and that's why we really have a strong interest in exploring more the waters of Thailand and Myanmar, even more so, and learning more about the manta population that lives in this area. That's why sort of diving the unknown, that's especially true for Myanmar, which opened its doors to tourism not long ago. So lots of the diving is still exploratory dive. Most of the mantas we see are new to any of our database, so we don't know where they go, where they're coming from, and we don't even know how big the population of Myanmar is, for example. Myanmar is also great for gardens of fan corals, schools of barracudas, so very colorful, also very colorful reefs. And then we also offer a few very special expeditions, a bit different, much more heavily focused on mantas. So if you're a manta obsessed, then you might want to look into some of those. One is the Manta Passion, which comes this year to its 5th edition. So it's the 5th year in a row that we run the Manta Passion, which is an expedition fully focused on mantas, where the goal is to dive every day, or do pretty much every dive with mantas. There might be other things around, really sort of focusing on seeing as many mantas as possible, collecting as much data as possible, and doing also a lot of more in-depth research activities, such as, again, more exploratory dives, which try to venture into regions and areas we don't know much about, to possibly find new manta sites and learn more about populations of mantas that are understudied. We've succeeded quite a lot in the past years. We've managed to identify new feeding stations, new feeding grounds, lots of new mantas added to our national database thanks to the Manta Passion. And again, the itinerary is even more flexible on these trips, where we really keep it fully flexible. It might change day by day. We might decide to stay 5 days on the same side because encounters are spectacular, or because we want to survey more in depth a specific region. So this is really for the manta obsessed, real manta lovers. And again, on this trip, we've never encountered less than 150 mantas within 10 days to 2 weeks. And last year, we've broken the 200 manta encounters within just under 2 weeks. And this year, we've extended the trip. So the upcoming Manta Passion will be 2 weeks long, and we'll go all the way to the very, very north of the Maldives to explore new sites. I forgot about the video, sorry. But yeah, shortly, a Manta Passion is really all about mantas. So lots of divings on cleaning stations. We might be doing sort of full days diving on cleaning stations, of rotating routes to survey a cleaning station for a long period of time throughout the entire day to see, for example, how are cleaning stations used by these animals within a day, or how long each individual is spending on the cleaning station. We might again do long sort of surveys along long reefs to find new cleaning stations, new cleaning sites, and so on. Again, sometimes we don't succeed, but some other times it's, when we have amazing experiences, amazing encounters, we identify new sites, which is always a great achievement. The other special expedition, which unfortunately we didn't manage to run this year, but we're proposing again in 2021, is the Giants of Formula, which is again an expedition focused to the island of Formula. So it's a land-based expedition where we're diving almost uniquely on a site which is known to host or to have presence of oceanic mantas. And the goal is obviously again to collect as much novel data on the oceanic population that inhabits that region, to possibly gain measurements of these animals, collect biopsy samples if possible. Again, in the Maldives at the moment it's not, but we're working on permits. But basically, this expedition really focuses on an understudied population of oceanic mantas, which may turn out to be one of the largest, if not the largest, population of oceanic mantas in the world. There's also further opportunities for anyone to get involved in expeditions. We do also organize group charters, tailored trips, tailored expedition. We've run quite a few for example, dive clubs. They want to just, whole dive club wants to go to Indonesia and dive focused on mantas with an educational and scientific aspect added to it, and we can organize the full trip and provide that additional knowledge that a normal dive trip would not provide. And also opportunity to organize corporate volunteering trips. So lots of companies have a strong CSR program, and we currently working with one company, and we organize every year a number of expeditions really specifically focused on gathering new data for the Manta Trust, venturing into areas which are unknown, where we want to collect new data. And those expeditions are fundraised by company, and the participants sort of volunteer their time to also help running surveys, running activities with local communities. So there's also educational work that we do with local communities, running island cleanups, as well as, of course, analyzing all the data that we collect on the trip. And also, we've done expeditions for students, or even more sort of more science focused, with more hands-on science and more lecturing, more workshop, and knowledge imparted throughout the trip. So how can you learn more and follow more the work that Manta Expedition does and get involved? Of course, we have a website you can visit with all the information about trips and more details about destinations and so on. We have a very active social media channels, which you can sign up to our newsletter, and of course follow us in these ways. Future plans are to offer more land-based expeditions. We realize that some people are, for example, seasick, so we're hoping to be able to offer more expeditions which are based on land. And we want to plan expeditions for families. We realize lots of families with young children who would like to keep on diving and introduce their kids to diving, maybe in an educational way, while contributing and learning something about what they're seeing. So we're planning to offer specific tailored trips for families, and also add new destinations to our expedition. One in particular, which we're hoping to already offer next year, is Ecuador, Isla de la Plata, which is again a fantastic destination for oceanic mammals. Quickly answering a few frequently asked questions before we open up questions to everyone. Sorry. Is there any requirement to join expeditions? Not really. The expeditions are open to divers as well as snorkelers. Obviously, different expeditions will be more suitable for divers and snorkelers. So it's more, so if you're interested in a particular one, just get in touch with us. How to book it? You can just write an email through our website and inquire about the particular expedition you're interested in. The prices, you can find them on our website, of course, and they vary depending, of course, on the length of the trip, the destination, and the vessel. The language is spoken. Of course, it's going to be mainly English, but other languages are spoken by both crews and trip leaders. Some expeditions will have also French language. Some will have Spanish or Italian. So we do offer services in a number of different languages. So if you're not an English mother tongue, don't be scared, don't be afraid. We can. Our staff speaks a number of different languages. And again, non-divers can join, definitely. We always invite snorkelers and non-divers to join our expeditions. Mantas are animals that can be encountered by just putting a mask and a snorkel in your face. So you don't need to be a scuba diver to see and engage with those animals. So absolutely, if you're a snorkeler, you can join our trip. And what if I cannot travel due to the current corona pandemic? It's a question that has come currently to us. Again, that depends on the trip, but in most cases, if you sign up to a trip and the trip cannot happen and you cannot travel because of coronavirus, then the trip will be rescheduled, or the amount that has been paid will be put onto the rescheduled trip. But we always, of course, invite everyone to have travel insurance in place. I also would like to thank all our partners, because if Manta Expedition exists, it exists because of also the support that we've received from all the partners we work with, which have made expeditions possible and which have supported Manta Expedition and the Manta Trust for a number of years. And with this, I end and I give your word back to you, Flossie, if there's any question.
Hello.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Neve. That was great. We've had a few questions come through. So we have one from Richard. He's asking two questions. One, I think you've already answered, but he's saying, are expeditions open to all levels of scuba experience? And is equipment available to rent, such as BCD, etc.?
All right. Yes, it is open to every level of divers, although some destinations might require more experienced diving. So it kind of depends on the destination. I would say most of the Maldives trips are open to every level of diving, as well as Indonesia, maybe Mexico. So Socorro, I would recommend it more to an advanced diver who has, as I said, at least an advanced open water diving level. And dive gear can be rented on board, so there's no need to have your own dive equipment.
Okay, cool, thank you. We have another one from Jen. What is the minimum age limit?
There is no minimum age limit. We have also children joining, of course, with parents. So if you're a minor, you have to be accompanied. And of course, if you're not at age to dive, you'll be able to snorkel, but not dive, of course. But we don't have an age limit. Anyone can join. Once again, of course, if it's in a destination such as Socorro, where snorkeling is complicated, I would not recommend that to a child. But expedition in the Maldives, for example, as well as Raja Ampat, are perfectly suitable for snorkelers, for children. It's very easy snorkel size, and normally when when we're going diving, if the dive site is suitable for snorkelers, the snorkeler will snorkel while the divers are in the water. Otherwise, we always try to offer an alternative site where the non-diver can either snorkel or relax and observe the island, for example.
That sounds great. Okay, we've had a couple of those questions, so these people might be interested in the family trips you're planning in the future.
Okay.
There is a question here in French that you might want to read, Neve, if you can open the Q&A box. I don't want to even attempt it.
Oh, right.
At the bottom from Patrick.
Oh, Patrick, mon frère, mon ami, I know him. Well, Patrick, at the moment, the plan has not changed. We're still planning to go all the way to the north. Yeah, I see you're concerned about not taking too many planes. I mean, there will be just one internal flight, which is a small domestic flight anyway. As you know, domestic flight in the Maldives is probably going to be about 15 to 20 people on board. So I don't really see it as a serious concern. But yeah, no, the plan hasn't changed. So we're still planning to go all the way north.
Okay.
Patrick is a long-time Manta expedition follower. He's been coming to a number of expeditions. He's one of those Manta obsessed, Manta passionate.
Awesome.
Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Patrick. So is he joining the Manta Passion trip this year?
Yes. Yeah, yes. So,
cool.
Yeah, the Manta Passion has sort of evolved a core group of repeaters with, yeah, especially a couple of them that I think have joined every single Manta Passion so far. And it's been better and better every year, although at the end of every Manta Passion, we sort of say, oh, yeah, it cannot be better next year, it cannot be better, and then it turns out to be even better the following year.
Yeah, last year you had all those mass feeding mantas in Ra Atoll, right?
Oh yeah, it was unbelievable, unexpected mass feedings up in Ra. We were on our own, basically, nobody else. Everybody was trying to dive to go to Anifar for 1 or 2 mantas. We were there with cycling feeding mantas in Ra Atoll. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I think we went up on the research boat the day after and we didn't see anything. So you got.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, it was a quiet. Yeah. We were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. Expeditions also are about. It's not. Yeah. So if you're sticking to a planned itinerary and you're just going, today we have to move from A to B, then you might miss that opportunity. While being flexible and being able to spend more days at one side of the fleet, the chances of amazing encounters.
Yeah. We have a related question to that from Kate. She's asking, how do you know where the mantas are? How do you find them?
Oh, you just give them a call. We have a direct line. Or no, that's the advantage of being able to rely on the Manta Trust expertise. Manta Trust has a network of researchers and contacts within the regions we're offering expeditions at. So we're able to use that live knowledge to decide where and when to go.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Ariana is saying, hey Neve, she's supposed to be on September's expedition in the Maldives and she's wondering if it's still going.
Yes, again, so the Maldives are, we're leaving things day by day, but at the moment, the information from the Maldives is that operations of liveaboards and resorts should be open by July at the latest. So a September trip is still scheduled to run as planned. Again, as I said, we all are at the moment in the world, we're living things day by day. So if anything changes, of course, you will inform our participants as soon as we can.
Yeah. Okay.
But fingers crossed, we can get back in the water very soon, and I'm sure it will be actually fantastic after a couple of months of peacefulness on the water for the marine life. It will be really, really interesting to see the recovery of the reefs, for example, or how the animals have adapted to the lack of divers. I really hope we'll be able to dive again soon.
Yeah, it'll be amazing, and fingers crossed we can all get to the Maldives soon.
Yeah.
Okay, one from Rob. What's the most unexpected situation you've had on a Manta expedition? Something you've seen or? or that's happened?
Most unexpected situation was certainly sort of encounters of this mass-feeding mantis out of the blue, out of nowhere. Absolutely incredible. I did have once an encounter with a manta fully entangled in a line on a dive site called Fairy Tale in North Maldives, where sort of she came out of the blue and she was trailing a 5 to 6 meters long net, and that was a quite unexpected encounter, if you will. Obviously, I managed to cut the net shorter, but the manta quickly dove down to below 45 meters, so I couldn't follow her deeper than that. So she still left with a bit of a net trailing behind. Trying to think if there's something. Oh, another one which was really a great way of starting the day was we were anchored in a lagoon called Liveaboard, and as we woke up in the morning, we always wake up at sunrise on expedition. So at 6 o'clock we wake up, and as we leave our cabin and look outside, the liveaboard is surrounded by about 15 mantas feeding, literally surrounded just around the liveaboard, all these feeding mantas. Looked really unreal with the sun rising on one side and all the mantas swimming around the liveaboard. It was really an amazing way of starting the day.
Wow.
I'm sure there's lots and lots.
Yeah, that was at Adafushi, outside Adafushi.
It was Revillagigedos.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh, that's awesome. What about whales? Do you see them on your trips?
I have this guy. You have to go on an expedition. The guy who wants to see whales
Guy sees everything.
He seems to have incredible luck on expedition. Whenever he goes, whenever he's the leader, Guy Stevens. Whenever he's the trip leader, he sees the most amazing things. So, yeah, he's had encounters with humpback whales on an expedition. I haven't, unfortunately. But I have had a couple of amazing encounters on expedition to Komodo 2 years ago. We jumped on a manta cleaning station in the southern part of Komodo, and immediately we spot 6-7 mantas cleaning. And then there's something weird which looks like a manta cleaning vertically. And as I get closer, I realize it's actually a mola mola. There was a mola mola cleaning surrounded by 6-7 mantas, and that was unbelievable and once in a lifetime kind of experience.
That sounds amazing.
And then on the last dive of the same expedition, at the end, again on a manta cleaning station, where we had about 35 mantas cleaning, just when we are about to come up for the safety stop, a dugong swims in front.
Wow.
So that was
in Komodo?
Amazing encounter. Ocean's surprise.
Oh.
In Komodo, yeah.
Nice. Neve, you're just breaking up a bit. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Might be my connection. Not sure what I can do.
It's mostly okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we'll just take one more question. This is another one from Patrick, and he has said, can we get the ID application for the mantas? So I think he's asking about the manta ID.
Yeah. It's almost ready. Everybody's been waiting. We've been waiting for these for a long time. So the longest, the most difficult part was getting all the databases, all the data collected, implemented into the platform, which required a lot of data adaptation and modification of the way the data was stored. It's almost finished now, so the platform is hopefully going to be launched. I think the plan is by the end of this year. But it's there, it's ready, the application is working. So this season, hopefully this season will start in the Maldives. I think the research team is planning to use it, and then by the end of this year, after the Maldives Manta team has tested the platform, it's going to be launched officially to the general public. So yeah, bear with us a little bit longer. We're getting there.
Fingers crossed. It would save us so much time.
For sure.
And if people see a new manta on your liveaboard, then do they get to name it on the trips?
Sometimes, yes, it depends on the expedition again. So it sort of depends on what is the policy of the project leader of the region we're working at. So, for example, in Socorro, the policy is that on the first re-sighting of a manta, the person gets to name it.
Okay.
While in the Maldives, we normally enable to name new mantas that have been sighted on expedition.
Okay, cool. I think that's it for now. So thank you very much, Neve, for joining us.
Thank you, Flossie. Thank you, everyone, for listening, for tuning in. I hope to see some of you soon underwater. I'm virtually underwater, but I can't wait to be literally there. I'm sure you also can't wait for that. Patrick, I hope to see you in October. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Let's pray for
and Ariana in September.
Right. I'm not going to be there. I don't know who's on that trip. I can't remember.
Okay. Awesome. Thank
you.
Thank you, Neve. As always, we have
Bye, thanks.
Bye, Neve. We've got some more webinars coming up next week. We have one with Isabel Ender talking all about how we can have protected mobulids globally. So that is actually at 9 a.m. next Monday morning. So quite an early one for anyone who likes an early start. Isabel is in Australia, so that's why it's such an early webinar, but it will be recorded for anybody that misses it. We have another one with Joanna next Wednesday, the 27th at 3 p.m. BST. She's going to be talking about the movements of mantas in the Maldives related to the monsoon. So that will be a really interesting one. She did her master's research on that, and she's now doing her PhD research in Chagos. And then we have Asia at 9 a.m. on the 29th, that's next Friday. She's going to be talking about manta rays in Australia, including the famous pink manta ray, who you have to tune in to see if you haven't seen it before. It's very cool. She is in Australia, obviously, so that's why that one is a bit earlier as well. As always, you can see our upcoming webinars and find out more information about manta rays and the Manta Trust on our website and our social media channels, which are listed on this page here. And you can help support us through this difficult time by doing things like adopting a manta or joining the cyclone, and any funds raised will go directly into manta research and conservation. Okay, thanks very much everyone, and hopefully see you all again soon.